We're going to get started. Thank you for coming this evening. My name is Bob McDermott. I'm your state representative. I'd like to go around and have each person introduce themselves first, your name and who you are.
Mitchell Tynanes with the Ever Beach Lions Club.
Kurt Vivella, Ever Beach Lions Club.
Rod Boucher, Neighborhood Board.
I'm Naomi Takamori, principal of Campbell High School.
I'm Sean Troop. I'm the manager for Best Buy Hawaii.
Dana Fatu, Honolulu Police.
Michael Febenito, just a resident here at Eva Gentry.
Int Sava, just federal worker.
Keith Roman, I'm Bob's office manager.
Okay, thank you all for coming. So what we're going to do to start off, because I have two gentlemen that have to go to a Lions Club meeting, that's Kurt and Mitch. I'm going to provide them their award first and the other people their awards because their time, believe it or not, they're going to another meeting so they can do their good community work. So, Mitch, I'd like you to come up here first. Mitch is active in the community Christmas parade. He and Kurt and the Lions Club, their motto is there's no I in the word team, and they put that on with the help of the club every year. They do a lot of wonderful things. What people don't know is that Mitch, why don't you hold this, Mitch? What the people don't know is that Mitch goes to the parks and locks them up after hours. He's kind of like the unofficial gatekeeper for the park over here. He doesn't get paid to do it. He does that. And when he sees graffiti, he paints it out. And I asked him if he catches them, what does he do? But he didn't share that with me, so I don't know. But he's one of these unsung heroes in the community that does stuff not for his own benefit, but for the benefit of other people. Make sure the trash cans are emptied if they're not being picked up. And he's a wonderful person, and I didn't get to know him until I got involved in the community a little bit more. So, Mitchell, on behalf of the community, I thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to spell, believe me. I had to go on the web, the neighborhood board. Mitch's partner in crime, the irrepressible, Mr. Kurt Favell. Kurt, come on up here. Those of you who know Kurt know he's about as subtle as a bull in a china shop. My first introduction to Kurt was after I got elected. He called me at 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. He said, hey, I'm down at Howbush Park. You need to get down here right now. There's a homeless family here. Well, I knew you don't say no to Kurt. So I got up and I went down there. And this family was living on the beach. And the guy came over from the Big Island, was promised a job, and he couldn't get on base access at Pearl Harbor. So Kurt said, we have to fix this because the guy came over here, promised employment, and now because he had, when he was a kid, he did something foolish, and he can't get base access to get this job. So Kurt set to work, and we worked together on it, but he did most of the work. He even took the guy and his family. They had a son, a wife, daughter-in-law, and a baby, and a dog. Brought him into his own house for a few weeks until he got his clearance for the base and he got his job. He's now a supervisor. Now, this is a guy who was on the beach. He's now a supervisor, making about $40 or $50 an hour, getting ready to go over to Iraq where they pay, what is it, $120 an hour or something? So this is the kind of unsung hero. Constantly goes down to Howbush. That's his park. It may say city and county on it, but he owns it. And he's the one getting people, helping the homeless and getting the folks out. And Kurt, thank you on behalf of the community. You are an unsung hero. And thank you for what his passion is the homeless. And he will do anything to get people off the beach. Thank you. Thank you. And those are from the heart. Okay. Now we have two guys who made me earn my money. These guys, first of all, one of them's a police officer. I'm gonna do him first. Dana Fatu, and well, Sean and Dana both come up because these guys are a tag team. Come on. Dana here. here's yours. Sean. Here's yours. Okay. Now, let me tell you about these guys. They own homes in Eva by Gentry. And so Dana starts posting this stuff on the web about, and Sean's taking videos with his iPad. He's a technology guy, by the way, about getting overrun by Pacific beetle roaches. And Kimberly Pine says, you got to go talk to these guys. So what is a Pacific beetle roach? Well, we learned more than we ever want to know about them. They were coming out of this overgrown area by the millions, out of the field, over their fence, down into their yards, literally by the millions. They said, we got to do something about this. So they got Eva by Gentry together. They held a community meeting. And I got to tell you guys, in the beginning, I didn't think Eva by Gentry was going to spend $250,000 to plow that thing, to be honest with you. But they did, because these guys had such a compelling case, and they were homeowners and good, solid citizens. They said, hey, you need to cut that down, because that's their food source. That's where they're coming from. Eva by Gentry spent about $250,000 to plow this 10 acres, I guess it was 7 or 9 acres. 7 acres of overgrown stuff that hadn't been maintained. And they took it down to the nub, to the dirt, which I was shocked. These guys are the reason they did it. And these are more unsung community heroes. Now, unfortunately, Dana says we're not done yet. So, and he's made that clear in no uncertain terms. So we got to continue to work. But there needs to be a maintenance plan, et cetera. But these guys are community leaders, and they're good guys, and they care about their neighbors. Thank you, gentlemen. So, and we'll talk after. Okay, good. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, the other award I had, the gentleman didn't show up tonight, but he's like the rest of the district, so that's okay. We'll get it to him next time. We're really blessed to have Rodney Belcher here, Mr. Emergency. He's everywhere. You're not tonight. It's not you, but next time, you'll be warned. But he's Mr. Emergency, and all the emergency preparedness. You'll see Rodney Belcher out there. He's a tireless servant for the community, and we thank him. We also have Naomi here, the principal of Campbell High School, my new best friend. Let's give her a hand. And thank you all so much for coming. So we invited the other community legislators. We invited Senator Sparrow, Councilman Knorr, and Councilmember Pine, but I'm pretty sure they're all busy somewhere else this evening. So unfortunately, you're just stuck with me. You're busy folks, so what I want to do is just give you a brief overview of the legislative session, and then take Q&A. And here's the good news. Kurt and I have been doing some town hall meetings, elderly villages, smaller ones. We're getting a lot of questions. So Keith is going to write down your questions. And I won't have the answer to them all tonight, of course. But we're going to take all these questions. There you go. We're going to take all these questions and get answers. And then we're going to publish the questions and the answers in our next newsletter. Because if you have a question, probably 10 other people have the same exact question in the community. By the way, thank you guys. Go to the Lions Club, do good work, all right? Thank you so much. Thank you. We have some water over there, folks, if you'd like water. And you could, I don't want to force you, but you can come up. I'm feeling a little lonely up here. Okay, so legislative session. What we focused on in the legislature, this isn't the first time I've been in. I was elected in the late 90s. But the place a legislator can most effectuate public policy is with regard to education. The potholes, the stop signs, the streets, the graffiti, it's really all city and county stuff. We'll write a letter to do those things, but most of the time it's a city and county function. But we have a great relationship with Councilman Knorr and Councilmember Pine. Just to give you some background, the House minority made a deal with Speaker Suki when the organization process came up, and the deal was that as a minority member, if we supported Speaker Suki, we would get one CIP project. One. The jewel of our community is Campbell High School. We asked for $2.2 million for electrical upgrades. Long and short of it is we got $1 million. Now, Campbell can't get air conditioning until the electric's upgraded. Can't even discuss it, right? So that's been languishing for many years. And we work with Principal Takamori. She's a delight trying to get that done. So we got $1 million for electrical upgrade. That's going to get us part of the way there. We still have to go back and fight for it, the rest of it. You'll see some other things in there. Some of those things I was working with. Some of them I didn't have a whole lot to do with, but those are capital improvement projects for our area. Now, what a state legislator really does is does things like Dana and Sean asked us to do. Hey, can you help us? Get involved. Or down here going into Iroquois Point, as Rodney knows, you got potholes all over, right? You live in Iroquois Point? Okay, potholes all over. Well, the city owns up to where it's paved very nicely. Then it's the golf course who owns about 800 yards. And then it's the Navy who owns the rest. So you have a beautiful city paved part. You have a bumpy pothole paved part, which is not really paved. And then you have the Navy's part. Navy doesn't want to spend any money to fix potholes that aren't theirs, nor are they allowed to. City, same thing. They don't want to pave it. So the golf course says, we don't want to pave it. We don't even want it. You can have it. So we told the golf course. So we gathered everybody together, Navy, city, golf course, Councilmember Menor. We're working on the city to take over ownership of that piece of the road. Golf course doesn't want it, but there's still, even in a friendly situation like that, it's going to take about a year. But the golf course recognized they had to pave those potholes. There were some real big ones, or else if there was an accident, they'd be liable, as Officer Fatu knows. So we got them to pave them. There's still some little ones that they should have done and they didn't. I mean, small kind. Just throw it on there. Just patch it. It's not that expensive. But that's really what we do. I've actually had, not this year, but in the past, someone bring a stray dog to my house. Said, Representative McDermott, we found this dog. Well, what do you do? I got it. No worries. My wife didn't appreciate that because we had 3 dogs already. So I put him in the car till we could take him to the pound. But meanwhile, the dogs in the back, of course, were going nuts, right, because they could smell him. But your state legislator is your lowest elected official. He is your employee. I'm your employee. I'll do whatever you ask. You pay my salary, okay? So that is the role that we have. And we're trying to support our schools with, it's real easy here in Eva Beach because the schools are all older. So the challenge is real obvious what's in front of us. It's repair and maintenance and some funding. Now, I'm going to close on one last issue. We talked to Principal Takamori. After she retires some years from now, there's going to be a new high school built across the way, over by Kapolei, West Eva area. And it's going to be brand new. It's going to be state-of-the-art, okay? But our school will, by then, be 60 years old. And our kids going to this school, whether we like it or not, are going to have a feeling that they're second banana. Because you got this brand new school, air-conditioned, wired, and everything, and we have an older facility. It's one of the better upkept older facilities, I must say. But still, we don't want that perception. So we have to get ahead of the curve moving forward and make sure that if they're going to spend $100 million on a new school, that they do put some money into this to upgrade the facilities. And maybe that's air conditioning for every classroom. I don't know what it is. It's up to the principal what that is. But what will give the kids a feeling that they're not second banana? Okay? So that's just a brief overview of the legislative session. And I know your time is valuable, so I'm willing to take any questions that you might have. So feel free. North Road. Yeah. And by the way, there's no bus service to Iroquois Point. So the kids have to walk from Iroquois Point to school, and I imagine they're hot and sweaty by the time they get there. We have written the city 2 letters. They understand it. Iroquois Point even built their own bus turnaround at their own expense for the city. If they build it, if we build it, they'll come, you know, Field of Dreams type deal. So they can go in there and turn around, a beautiful bus shelter. So we have to get that fixed, and Member Menor is working on it. but there's no bus service. And what is it, a mile and a half, at least 2 miles? And they got to, and they walk, and the people going to work walk to the bus stop, and it's just unsatisfactory. So any other questions? You got me for as long as you want me. Let me have the MG owner here first, and then Dana. The MG owner. You know, the master plan, I do believe we will get the particulars to you. Keith's writing it down now, the bike plan. So the particulars I'll get to you in the next, it'll come out in a few months, probably November, of all these answers. Yeah, exactly. I think the vision is to connect all the way from down Pearl Harbor, Pearl City, all the way out is the vision. Now, it ends up here fairly close, I understand. Okay, Westlock Fairways, Westlock Villages, yeah, that's what I was told. Well, I believe the vision is for a total, but we'll get back to you in particular. Keith's got your information. We'll get back to you on that particular issue. And for everyone else, we'll get the answers. And if we have your email, we'll email them to you sooner than the newsletter coming out. Okay, I was thinking on my feet. Okay, Dana.
Changing the whole wrestling program. And I understand the DOE, my wife's she's in DOE as well. So I know the money's not there, but you know, the greatest thing I know about Campbell, all our family came through Campbell. The tradition is remarkable. The money is any issue or any way that we could look as far as wrestling room. As you see, just of late, just recently, Mark Bulow and his I believe his name is Bill O'Brien, they've changed the program tremendously. They brought Pennsylvania wrestling, and it just totally revamped the whole program of Campbell High School. And I really was intrigued that I actually got my little 6-year-old daughter involved because I see the transition and what they're doing. And I think that right there is also just a great gem for this high school, so we won't be far left behind. Sports, I know that's a big issue, but the wrestling program, they need a bigger gym now. You know, and I see you guys have a lot of space and areas, and we were just walking around just dream building.
Actually, we don't have a lot of space on this campus. The space that you're talking about, maybe the track and field, but you know, we need that. In the back is a baseball field. There is no land here. There is no land that we could, and I would love a wrestling room. Mark talks to me about how they do it in Pennsylvania, where he's from, or from the East Coast. And I know what Mark has done. He built the wrestling program, you know, and he's not only doing it at the high school, he's doing it at the community level so that he can develop kids to enter our high school knowing how to wrestle. And with and lacking a real strong judo program, which, you know, feeds into wrestling, like as it is in Pearl City High School, we are actually doing so well because of the community wrestling that Mark and Brian Wida has done. Let me tell you, there's very few people on campus who are as appreciative as I am and who wants to support Mark as much as I do. I don't know how to do it because a new facility will cost a lot of money. If you look at our track, you know, my track is my big issue now because what it does is it creates dust for the whole community. You know, it even impacts my culinary arts program because They need to close the windows because of the dusts when they cook the foods. And it is steaming hot in that room. And what I'm trying to do now is just to get air conditioning for that. Now, I have to think about, can my building sustain more the power, yeah? Because as Representative McDermott did, he actually got us $1 million to complete the electrical upgrade for our school. I mean, we are in the works, we are in the process now of doing the electrical upgrade, but I only have $300,000. How many buildings is that going to hook up? We have all the transformers on campus in those stainless steel cabinets, but how many buildings does $300,000 go toward hooking up? I figure maybe 3, you know what I mean? Because they got a trench, there's a lot of labor involved. So Bob got us $1 million. So I'm hoping that that is going to definitely put us far along getting enough electrical power. Now, we have such basic problems, a wrestling room, yeah, of course, I would love it. Mark talks about it to me every day, almost every day. And I want to support him. He is fabulous. I mean, I am so blessed to have him, but I don't know what to do.
Well, 2 gems that I know for a fact that the blessing is we have new technology, we have great buildings, old buildings, that we can do all the PVs. That's beside the point. And the number 1 gem we have this great guy named Bob McDermott that will definitely get in there and fight the good fight for us because he knows our issue is not over yet. So.
Thank you for the paid advertisement. I appreciate that. But what he talked about is, Naomi, she's dealt the hand she's dealt. They tell her, this is what you're getting. She puts in a wish list every year, what she wants, what she needs money for, and they're said, okay, this is what we're going to do, right? So she battle just to maintain par. So it's really a challenge. What he said about the wrestling rooms, imagine, and this is where Naomi gets frustrated because when you talk about state-of-the-art schools, you imagine a high school literally with an indoor swimming pool, a high school with a wrestling room where the walls are padded and there's a water fountain in the wrestling room that's padded where the kids can go in there. And it's totally a padded wrestling room. It's beautiful, low ceilings, and it's very hot because they want it hot so they lose weight and they wrestle. There's a whole culture of that. You're talking about a brand new gymnasium with sparkling yellow floors because the wood is constantly varnished. And you're talking about a weight room with beautiful weights and plenty of facilities. Those schools do exist. I went to one when I was a kid, 200 pounds ago, okay? But they do exist. So how can we work here to get us up to the new standards? Well, that's something we're all going to do together, and I'll certainly try and do my part to the best of my ability. Yes, Rodney.
In reference to the CIP for Campbell, how can we help you? What's the best thing that we can do as citizens?
Well, we all work together as a team. So next year we'll meet with the principal again before the session, and we'll let the community know what the priorities will be, and we'll alert the folks who we have emails on to come down and testify in support of those measures and let the folks know. But it's really, to be honest with you, squeaky wheel gets the oil. It's like anything else in life, right? If they hear Campbell, and they're going to give the money to Campbell and not some other school they never heard of, generally speaking. Okay? Next question. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jerry Padilla, and I was hoping that our councilman, Randanor, is here because I would like to ask him about the bus E. And no, I live on not too far from here at the Keno place. And what I'm concerned is about the e-bus which service the people from here to Waikiki. I work for the hotel industry, and I just feel sorry for the people like me and the other people who work there because it takes forever to actually go to work because we have to catch the bus. And I went to the city hall last year, and I filed a petition, and I was even given a plot here. And until now, we're still waiting, and I don't know what else to do. The question is, when is the mayor gonna bring back the bus service? Before the election, I was very happy that he was telling everyone on television that he's gonna restore the bus system, and until now. The e-bus actually runs in Waikiki at one time, and it runs early in the morning until 10 p.m. And it is just going to downtown Honolulu, and it's not going to Waikiki anymore. And what we have now is the W1, which is very limited. It only runs during the day, 3 in the morning, and then 3 in the evening. So in other words, it's packed like sardines. And I think we deserve also to have that service, because I felt like we are being, like a second-class citizen, and I believe that the mayor should take care of the people. Whatever sector of or company, he should take care of that, especially that the hotel is the one feeding the state. And I'm sure he realized that, and I feel that his promise has not been materialized. And I'm ready to go back again, but I was thinking, if I had spent my time and I got all these signatures and nothing happened, what else should I do? Okay. It's okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Hi, Bob. Tell us your name and where you're from, etc.
Mike Goodley, my wife Tracy. We just moved here about 3 months ago, and we live over at Ericos Point. And the road that, I'm not sure exactly the name of the highway that runs right along. Okay. If you've ever traveled that road, you probably noticed that it does need some repairs. And that's, yes, yeah, that's speaking lightly of it. But and the question is, we just was wondering, when are they going to start? Have they started? Have they discussed about improving it? And
that is a very good question. Just very briefly, we talked about it at the beginning of the meeting. The city where it's paved up nice, city owns that. Where it turns really crappy, golf course owns that. Where it gets nice again on the other side of Iroquois Point, Navy owns that. So the part that has the worst potholes is owned by the golf course. Okay, Navy cannot pave something they don't own. City does not want to pay something they don't own. So we just got them. If you noticed in the last couple of weeks, they filled some of them up. Okay, that's because and they left some that were not. I don't understand that, because they were just so small. Just fill them. They filled up the bigger one. In any case, the golf course did that because it's their property. They own it. Okay, but they're willing to give it to the city. So the city, Councilmember Minor, is agreeing that he wants to push forward and take ownership of that. It's still going to take a year to get that done. But the potholes, they know they have a liability situation if they don't fill them. And I just emailed her today. We need to have a follow-up meeting to continue the momentum of that meeting. So it's a good question, very timely. They were, about 2 weeks ago, they were horrible. It was a huge one out there. Not so horrible, still bad. But good question. Thank you so much. You have a question, sir? You're a good-looking guy. Why don't you ask a question?
What brought me out here tonight was, you kind of had a note in your announcement about the town hall meeting about your conversations with the DOE, and no need for a second high school. I know there's been rumors floating around about that possibility. I've got a 9-month-old daughter. My wife and I moved out to Eva Beach from Kailua simply because it was the only place we could, afford a house and start a family. I know Eva Makai is a great new middle school. Olumua Elementary is where my daughter will be going once she starts school age. And I look around here at Campbell High School. I see all the portables out there. I'm wondering what the capacity of this high school, what it's designed for, what the expected capacity over time is going to be. I mean, I know I've got a few years before I need to worry about it, but the decisions that are made today are the decisions that are going to impact, what my daughter has in terms of a high school when she goes there. So your notice said that there was, no need for a second high school in Eva. So my question, I guess, is what is being done to address the capacity of the existing facilities here? What what studies have been done in terms of capacity as far as what the growth is? I know they're still building new houses out there. There's more development coming. There's more families coming, which means there's going to be more high school students. Where are we going to be at in 14 years?
I'm going to ask Naomi in a minute to opine on this, but my question, you live in this district, okay? So more than likely, your children, you're on this side of Fort Weaver Road. So more than likely, your children are going to go to Campbell High School. So what we talked about before you came in is they are going to build another high school. But my duty to you, as you are my boss, your kids are going to go to school here. So we need to make sure that this school gets all the repair, support, maintenance, and everything it needs. Like, Dana mentioned a new wrestling room. Maybe there are things we can do, like air conditioning, wrestling room, new gymnasium, whatever that is, so when they do build a new high school, and they're going to, when they do build it, that our kids who go to school here don't feel like they're getting short shrift. Because if you live across the street, you're going to get to go to the new school with air conditioning, the computer totally wired, new gymnasium, probably has a wrestling room, and then poor Naomi or her not predecessor, her follow-on, what would be follow-on, is going to be stuck over here, and the parents are going to be grumbling to that principal, why don't you have air conditioning for these kids? So my focus is on your kids, and yeah, 15 years from now, I'm the cheerleader for Campbell, okay? So yeah, there's going to be more capacity, et cetera. That other school is going to be built. But right now, I want to see the resources go to undergird what she already has in place. They're not there yet. They're not there yet. But Fort Weaver sure makes a logical sense, would be a dividing line. These kids on this side, kids on that side. Now, Naomi, how many students do you have? And I think we're about 3,000, but why don't you talk about capacity for a little bit?
We are over capacity because we have 3,000 students, almost 3,000 students. I have at least 10 portables, at least, and we have put in for 6 more portables, and I don't even know where we're going to put them. But we put it in because I have right now currently 9 teachers who are floating. That means they don't have their own classrooms, okay? So they go into the classrooms that the teachers have, there's a break there or whatever, and then they use their classrooms. Actually, 9 floaters for this many. I have a total of about 190 teachers. So 9 floaters is really a good number, but that's because of the kinds of programs we have that double up teachers and that sort of thing. So we are, of course, over capacity. There's no doubt about it. As I was saying earlier, we don't have room. We don't have grounds here. We don't have land. We are, I think, maxed out, almost maxed out. We're putting 2 more portables right here. Well, not here, on that side. You see all the portables here, okay? We're putting 2 more portables. It's coming up back there. I have 2 more portables after that coming in. We're still kind of wondering where we're going to put them. And then this year, this week, put in for 2 more portables. I just keep asking for portables because I don't know where we're going to put them, but I know we're going to need them. Okay. Yeah, they're going to be building a new high school, but that's not going to help me now. You know, it's never going to help me. I mean, really. And when it's built, yeah, they'll take and probably, as you said, Fort Weaver Road will be the divider. You know, so you know, we don't want to see our kids that come to Campbell High School feel that they're being shortchanged on anything. Facilities is a huge issue, you know. I was just telling them earlier, I have a real basic need. I need enough electricity, much less air conditioning. So, you know, this is where I'm at, okay? And that's the kinds of things that I contend with and that Bob is helping me with, okay?
You know, back to the second high school, just real quick. I think in this year's budget, there was $18 million put in for planning and design of the new high school. It's coming, but recognize it's a generational thing. When is it son or daughter? Daughter is ready to go to high school, that school will be ready. But I look at it selfishly. That's $18 million. We can get her air conditioning and electrical upgraded this year if we spend it on that, right? But that's a huge chunk of money, and that's a bigger decision than I'm at. So I'm the cheerleader for you right now, today and tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. In fact, we talked about that, how we can integrate that moving forward. And I mean, we even threw out some ideas, just talking, of course. But well, you have the intermediate school here. How about you build a new intermediate school, and then Campbell takes that property, and now you have this mega school, right? But it's part of it's all new, so the kids rotate through the new area instead of haves and have-nots. I grew up on the mainland, as I think you did, probably. There, after 30 years, what do they do to a school? They tear it down. They demo it. Not here in Hawaii. So we have a challenge. We have to maintain the older schools moving forward. At the same time, population's growing. It's going to continue to grow out here. But we don't want the kids in Campbell 15 years from now in a 75-year-old school or 65-year-old school feeling short shrift, and that's the concern I have today. So we need to get her everything she needs right now. Ma'am, do you have a question? I saw you there. Oh, well, I know him. He's my friend. He can.
You know, I can appreciate your concern about the school and, you know, what people perceive as shortcomings from Campbell High School and whatnot. You know, I came here from the mainland in 1998, built all the Home Depots and then Best Buys and whatnot, and I'd always heard these rumors, you know, Campbell High School, you know, don't go there. It's going to be like this and that. And so I bought into all the minutia, and I put my son at IPA, private school, brand new facility, really nice school and everything, you know, spend $12,000, $13,000 a year, put him 7th, 8th, 9th grade in there. My son came to me in 10th grade and said, Dad, you know you're spending a lot of money to send me to this really cool school, but guess what? I really think it's overpriced, and I don't think the teachers are that good, actually. And I'm going to go to school to be educated, not to be in a really cool school. And this came from my son telling me, you want to save, you know, that's $13,000 cash. That's probably $25,000 payroll, right, after taxes? He said, I'd rather go to Campbell High School. And I was like, whoa, you want to go to Campbell High School? He goes, yeah, you know why? Because they have better AP and IB courses, and I think their teachers are better than we have at my school, IPA. It's, you know, Island Pacific Academy. It's a private school in Kapolei. My son graduated last year. He's going to UH. He did a fantastic job. He loved coming to school. And, you know, like anywhere else, there's going to be things you got to deal with at school. But, you know, if you keep your nose straight and you come here to get educated, I tell all my people, my friends, I see a lot of people running Best Buy, and I tell them, you know what, Campbell High School's got good teachers, and I believe you're going to school to learn something. So my hat's off to Campbell. I mean, they did a great job educating my son, and my daughter will go here, and I'll have no problem with that.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Jerry Pino, and I have a question for you. You just said that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I need to learn how to be a squeaky wheel. I had a Senate bill before the legislature this season, and it was deferred at the 11th hour. And it's in regards to Senate Bill 668, Luke's Law, and autism. And it was Senator Josh Green who was sponsor and so on. Okay, great. I need to know how to get this thing through because I have a child with autism and he wasn't deferred. He's at Alima over here. I get a call just after the bill was deferred. This is Mr. Lee. Can I talk to you? There was an incident and so on because he needs help and I can't get him help. And this bill was to help him. So how do we be the squeaky wheel to get this done?
Great question. Keith, would you make sure that we get her name and number? Anybody who came in late, okay. I want to talk to you after about that. But the bill she's speaking of is really a heart-wrenching bill, and it is to provide, so we all have HMSA or Kaiser, right? It's to mandate that they would cover autism services for children. Now, a new mandate, nobody likes those, right? But you hear the stories, and then you ask the HMSA representative, how much more would this cost the average policyholder? And it was 14 cents a month. Okay, I'm in. Who's not in? Who doesn't support that? 14 cents a month. So this child, because right now, there's a gap between what DHS will do before they enter school and what they do when they're in school. They need more help after school with behavior issues. Autism's very complex, and I supported that. I don't know what happened to it because there's literally hundreds of bills at the end, and if they don't agree on one thing or another, they just stifle it. But the fact that it made it that far is very encouraging. But I want to get back to you personally on that because it's an issue that, but it's a real, it's not potholes and stops. This is real people, your child, and I care about everything, but I care about that. Yeah, something else.
It's not just self-interest. I'm also an educator. I've taught with the DOE for close to 25 years. My husband has also been with the DOE close to 25 years. And these children are in our classrooms. It's now, we said 1 in 88, and I heard another CDC or study that it was 1 in 50. And I can tell you, tomorrow I go into my classroom, and that child who hasn't been diagnosed, I believe it's 60 days do they have for diagnosis? That child will spend 60 days in, I teach first grade. If that child comes in, it'll be 60 days before they get diagnosed, get services, and so on. And so I'm doing what I can to help that child. And what about the other children, the general education population who are trying to learn as well? They all have needs, and we need to meet them all. So it benefits everybody in the community, not just the child with autism.
Let's give her a hand. Great story. No, and that's the kind of thing we need to hear because that touches our heart. I mean, those who we're talking about, little children, and autism's so complex, it's not just one set of symptoms that a child will have. It's throughout the broad range, and you got to really be an expert in behavioral psychology and a psychiatrist almost how to deal with each child on a case-by-case basis. When they go to the school helps them, but only while they're there, and usually it's like maybe 1 or 2 hours a week, literally, with a couple other children, right? It's a Band-Aid solution. What they need is more help, a reinforcement, an undergirding of what they're getting at school to help that child so they can achieve in the future. Any other questions? Rodney?
I wanted to commend the JROTC folks for the Pride Forever, what they did at Pride Forever at the fair, and also for what they've done for EVA Emergency Preparedness Committee. We do the fairs every year, and they've been outstanding. And I wanted to get with you in reference to that. And if I may do a quick pitch here, hurricane season is approaching, and this is a good time to start getting prepared. Or I have information up here if you want. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stick around for questions and hang around here. If anybody has any questions or want to talk to me, I'd like to introduce someone very special to me. Well, two people. One is Cesar Coilly. He's a legislative analyst. Thank you, Cesar. And the most important person in the world to me, right there in the back, my lovely wife, Utu. Hi, honey. And Naomi, ask her what I said. She'll tell you it's true. Thank you all for coming. Aloha, God bless you, and I'll stick around for any questions, okay? Thank you.